This is Robert Depper, Chair of the Burlington Police Commission, calling the commission to order. First item on the agenda is a roll call and determination of quorum. It does appear that we have a quorum, but I will go through the roll call. Mary Cox, if you could, commissioners, as I call your name, if you could indicate that you are present. Commissioner Mary Cox. Commissioner Cox, you are muted. Okay, well, Commissioner Cox is getting online. I'll just move on and we'll come back to you. Commissioner Susan Comerford. Can you indicate your presence, Commissioner? I don't know if they can hear me. Commissioner Cox or Commissioner Comerford, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. All right, well, let's try this again. On the roll call and determination of quorum, commissioners, as I call your name, if you could indicate your presence. Commissioner Mary Cox.
I'm here.
Okay. Commissioner Susan Comerford.
Present.
Okay. Commissioner Julia Genorio.
Present.
Okay. Commissioner Karen Paul.
Present.
Commissioner Michaela Finneran.
Present.
And Commissioner Tessa Fast-Brooks. Okay. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's definitely necessary. All right. Well, we do have a quorum. And first, I wanted to welcome our new members, Commissioner Julia Genorio, Commissioner Karen Paul, and Commissioner Tessa Fast. Welcome. This is your first meeting. And with that, I will ask if there are any modifications to the agenda. Yes, Commissioner Paul.
Thank you. So on July 10th, I was in touch with all commissioners regarding 2 items that I'd like to see added to the agenda, and appreciate the feedback that I've gotten from commissioners as well as department leadership on those 2 items. The first item is a discussion of commission retreat or informal meeting, and then if supported, I would hope that we could take a vote to move forward in scheduling that meeting. And then the second is a discussion of the commission attending a roll call and doing a meeting to coincide with that roll call. So having the roll call first and then a meeting to follow. This would give us an opportunity to meet and speak with officers, to do commendations at that time, and as well get a tour of the work that is going on at the police station. So I would suggest, although obviously it doesn't matter to me, but just as a suggestion, that perhaps we could add those as items 4.6 and 4.7 on this evening's agenda.
So are you moving to add those items to the commission
Yes.
business?
Yeah.
Okay.
A second.
You need a second. Oh.
Yes.
I second.
Sorry.
Okay. And all those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, those opposed? Hearing none, I will add those to the bottom of the commission business. I believe that would be section,
It's 4.
that's section 4. Okay, we'll add it to the bottom of the commission business.
Great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Depper, I have another addition.
Okay, sure. Go ahead, Commissioner Cox.
So in years previous, each year in the July meeting, which is the first meeting at the beginning of the new fiscal year, we've elected officers like chair, if we want to do co-chair or vice chair. And I know that the draft bylaws that Shakula had done before she left provide for that. And so I was wondering if...
I'm sorry, you're cutting out, Commissioner Cox.
So I was wondering if we could either put that on the agenda for today, election of chair and vice chair, for example, or that we put it on the agenda for next month.
Okay, so you were cutting in and out there, so let me see if I understand. Are you wanting to have a vote for chair or vice chair on the next meeting, or are you wanting to have, are you basing that on draft bylaws?
No, so the tradition in the is that annually throughout Burlington on other commissions as well. And the city council actually votes for president of the city council in April at the beginning of their fiscal year. And so I would move that we nominate people for chair and vice chair and have the votes tonight. My only concern is that there's so many new people that may not know the players well enough that we may want to put that off for a month. But my main motion would be that we do it tonight.
Your main motion will be that we add it to the agenda tonight to elect the chair and vice chair?
Yes.
Okay.
It was always done annually before. It wasn't done exactly annually this last year or so, but I would just like to go back to that.
Okay. All right. So is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay. There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion about that? Commissioner Paul?
Thank you. So I just want to make sure I understood because Commissioner Cox was sort of cutting in and out. There was some mention of, I thought what I heard was that since there are a number of commissioners that are new and, may not know one another, that there was a possibility of doing this in August. But then I heard that you wanted to add it to this meeting. So I just wondered if that was open for discussion or, because the motion is really to add it to tonight's agenda. So I don't want to go off onto a tangent that isn't intended.
Are you asking me?
Well, you go through the chair.
Okay, well, I believe that was a question for Commissioner Cox. So go ahead, Commissioner Cox.
Well, I think tonight would be, but if people objected to doing it tonight, then I would say, can we, in the alternative, do it in August?
Okay, well, you've got a motion and a second.
Only take.
So,
If I could just finish, I'm sorry. Just
Sure,
taking
go
into
ahead.
account the fact that people are brand new and may not know people well enough to be able to vote.
okay, well, would you like to amend your motion to maybe put it on the agenda for the August meeting?
Well, why don't we vote for whether or not we can put it on tonight's meeting? And then if that goes down, then could we do a second motion to put it on August meeting?
Okay, sure. All those in favor for putting it on, for putting Commissioner Cox's motion to have a vote for chair and vice chair tonight, please say aye.
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 That's 2. Those opposed? Aye. Okay. 3 opposed, 4 opposed? All right. So that motion fails. Thank you, Commissioner Cox.
I don't believe Julia voted.
I thought I heard her vote.
Okay.
I voted against.
Okay, thank you.
So can I make a motion then to put it on August meeting?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Cox, go ahead. I didn't hear you.
So I wanted to make the motion to put it on the August meeting.
Okay, that's
On
fine.
the
I
agenda
mean,
for the August meeting.
okay, well, this right now is motions to just amend this agenda. But I'm happy to put it on the August agenda. I don't think you necessarily need to do that by motion.
Okay, great, thank you.
Okay. All right, are there any other modifications to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to the approval of the May minutes. I will move to approve the May minutes. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed?
I will recuse myself.
Hearing no objection, those minutes will be approved. Thank you very much. Next, we have 10 minutes for public comment. Do we have anyone to comment? Please, Councilor Mila Grant. Yes, please, come sit.
Hi, just
Hi.
like the good old days. Good to see you. Thank you for giving me a few minutes. First of all, I want to thank those of you who have engaged in conversations with me in the last couple of months. I really appreciate the time. For those who don't know in the public, I previously served on a special committee to review policing policies after lawsuits were announced against the city back in 2018, and that committee did its work in 2019. I applied and was accepted to be on the Police Commission 2020, and then I ran for city council and somehow won. Woohoo! The Police Commission is very dear to me. I want to talk quickly about past, present, and future. When I was on the commission, we were dealing with a lot. We were coming after, during and after the protests that were occurring in the city. Our city had protests in 2020 because we had issues in our city. That has been difficult for some people to understand. We in particular had issues in the Central District, which is Wards 2 and 3. We continue to have a divide in the city where people in the city don't understand each other and don't always respect people's lived experience. We were being policed differently. There was issues with equity in policing, and that was when we were getting responses, and we had issues where we weren't getting responses, which later were exacerbated throughout the city. I think we've all heard about the issues with the prior response plan and the online reporting, and very thankfully we have a new police chief who has been addressing those issues, and it's been visible. So I thank the chief again for his efforts, and the public appreciates his efforts. We all know we have a long way to go, but we're moving now. We're moving forward in the right direction. The police commission was a kind of propaganda ball for a while. I worked on the commission prior to them giving any type of reimbursement for service, and we worked tremendous hours. During the debates over oversight and accountability, the commission was repeatedly, there would be things said that the commission could not do the work. Unfortunately, some members of the commission said, we can't do the work, there's no time, there's no time. That was interpreted by myself and others as a lack of commitment. Having known how much I learned in working with members of the public, members of the department, other city councilors at the time, it was a matter of commitment, and I still feel very necessary. We have a long way to go to deal with the issues of public engagement. We're never going to get 100%. You always have people who will never question police, and then you have people who will never talk to police. We're always going to have that. But in terms of how far apart we are, we can bring it in a little bit. I think we can bring it in substantially. So I want members of this commission to be really mindful of political propaganda and be really mindful of being used. We actually had a commission member who had to resign because her employer told her she was conflicted, and her resignation letter says that, and it is public information. If anybody wants to read it, I can direct you to that. I think it's important that the commission understand balance. We lost balance in the last few years. The commission is not just here for the police department. The commission is here to have balance between the police department and the public so that the two work together, because our department needs the public's help. If the public doesn't cooperate with the department, that makes their job harder, makes our officers' job harder, makes the other positions in the department harder. So there is definitely things that I'd like to see the commission do. There used to be more meetings with members of the public. For example, trusted community voices. This is a group of individuals who works with the New American community in terms of helping people navigate issues, and they have opinions on the relationship between our police department and members of the community. I think that would be a great discussion. I think maybe everyone pulling a meeting from 2020, 21, 22, looking at those meetings and seeing the type of issues that we brought to the commission, specifically to educate both the department and the community, like trauma-informed policing, talking about how police officers were affected by things they see that the average everyday person doesn't see. And we also talked about the trauma that is a result sometimes of unnecessary use of force. We looked at it in both ways. Once again, that balance. I was talking to the chair, and thank you for your time, about, are members of the commission still part of NACOL? If so, using NACOL. That's an important organization that helps all kinds of bodies across the country with oversight and accountability and ways to work with law enforcement. Balance, going back to balance. Data, being very familiar with the data. Not only data for the Burlington Police Department, I think this commission should look at the Fire Commission's report that BPD does. The fire department is very involved in responses to the overdose crisis. That data is important. So even if you don't review it, I think just getting that report every other month would be really important. The CNA report, and Councilor Paul will understand what I'm saying, we need to go through that. We need to have some kind of joint meeting to go through that, and I am trying to find the last one that we reviewed to see where we're at, what directives still need to be worked on, what was completed, because that process got dropped. I'd like to make sure that everybody's read the officer survey. I'd like to make sure that everybody's read the new recruitment plan. I'd like to make sure that everybody is aware of what the downtown circle is, what the situation table is. I'd like to see the commission advocate the use of public forums here and at the Public Safety Committee or at the City Council meeting for when people are having issues throughout the city and they don't know what to do. We have too many people kind of suffer in silence. And I'd like there to be more promotion for getting commendations. We have a lot of people talking about the good that they're seeing now. We really need to get those commendations in the line. And that is it. Thank you so much for your time and giving me these few minutes. In my conversation with the chair, I said I would send some stuff. I did not get to it. I'm going to try and get to it this weekend and send links to everything that I talked about. And I owe a couple of people some things. If you know what it is, you'll have it. If you don't, let me know. If you want more, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Counselor. Are there any other members of the public online that are interested in speaking? From where I'm sitting, it doesn't look like it, but I could be wrong. And there's no one else in here. So that will conclude our public comment section. And we'll move on. Oh, go ahead.
My apologies.
Commissioner.
Thank you. My apologies. Getting back to the approval of the minutes, I misstated. I did not want to recuse myself. I wanted to abstain because of the fact that I don't want to vote on minutes of a meeting that I did not participate in.
Okay.
So I just want that noted.
Sure.
As opposed to recusing myself because I'm not.
Okay. All right. Very well. Thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
Now, moving on to commission business, and let me start our clock for that. We've got that for 30 minutes. So the first thing we have on the business end is committee reports from all committees. I think at this point, unless anyone needs to correct me, I think the only committee we have in existence at this point is the Complaints Committee. So we actually have a discussion of the Complaints Committee separately on the business. So for right now, if no one has an objection to it, I'll just table that for later on down. We're talking about complaints specifically because I'll have a question for the city attorney on that. And then committee changes. Currently, again, that's the only committee we have. I think potentially down farther down in the business and the modifications, we may have discussions about committees. So let's just move on to the Public Information Directive, DD30, discussion of DD01, and discussion of DD03, unless anyone has any objection to that.
I just have a point of information on the
Yes,
item
Commissioner.
number on the committees. So there is an Animal Control Committee, and from the minutes of the last meeting, which that was in May, you met for a second time about an item. Has that, so that decision was made, and that is the end of that chapter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there is no committee report because nothing has happened since May.
Correct.
And hopefully that
I
won't.
believe they dissolved, like, to the extent, I believe they dissolved that committee at the end of its business.
Okay.
So the order was issued, and that committee was resolved until it was needed, or dissolved until it was needed
All right,
again.
so that is not a standing, okay.
That's
All
correct.
right, wonderful, thank you.
Yes, ma'am, no problem. Are there any other questions or points of information? No, hearing none? Okay. So on the agenda, we have both the Public Information Directive, DD30, and Law Enforcement Role and Authority, DD01, as a flag and table. I'm not necessarily wedded to that. If the commissioners have had an opportunity to review them and are ready to vote, I'm open to doing that as well. Does anyone have a motion to go ahead and vote on those?
Chair Depper, can I ask a question?
Yes, Commissioner Cox, go ahead.
Is the chief here this evening? I just can't
He
see
is.
the full panel. So on the, I think it's DD01, I just had a question. I like everything that's in there, and I don't have any real questions about that particular directive, but there's a related issue that's is also spoken to in DD 02.01, Section 5, roll call. And this has to do with which officers are supervising other officers, which are directly addressed in DD 01, but it's also mentioned in DD 02 in the section on roll call. And so it says in DD 0201, Section 5, roll call, it says evaluate, this is like during roll call, one of the things that will be done is to evaluate officers' readiness to assume patrol. And so my question being, is this something that, like, for example, like the sergeant actively does, like for people that are going to be in patrol cars or on foot patrol during that next shift?
Yeah, go ahead, Chief.
Thank you for that question, Commissioner. So what that really refers to is making sure that everyone's scheduled to work is present at roll call and that they're equipped and uniformed and ready to go in the field. And any service deficiencies or equipment needs that the officers have are corrected by the officer in charge, be that a sergeant or a lieutenant.
So I guess we had a question that was sort of just hovering in the air for a couple months now, a few months, is this issue of officer fatigue. And I was wondering if that's something that a sergeant or a lieutenant, either during roll call or before roll call, has a chance to evaluate with the people that are going to be under them and out on patrol.
So certainly there's a lot of unplanned overtime that our officers work on top of voluntary overtime. And we have done quite a bit in terms of, and when I say we, I mean the culture of policing, have done quite a bit of work on lowering the stigma to saying, like, listen, I'm tired, listen, I need help, I need some resources to get through. So that is an improvement, and I will say, I can't talk in any granular detail about this, but we have worked closely with the collective, with our union during the collective bargaining process on this particular topic.
Okay, I'll just put it out there that, well, maybe I should just have a separate conversation with you about this, but I just real briefly, the Coast Guard does the same sort of thing and evaluates crew readiness to go out on rescue missions and the like. And it's something that it's really hard to make sure that everyone's really okay because people have young kids or people are taking college courses at night or different things, or they were out on 3 hard cases yesterday and they're really just kind of tired. And so you get crew fatigue. And I just imagine that it's the same way during the police, but the Coast Guard officer in charge down at the station, he'll know a lot about how the Coast Guard does this, and it might be just a point of comparison if you're interested.
First off, I appreciate your concern for the wellness of our officers, and I'm happy to connect with you offline.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cox. And just so I'm clear, and this, I think, is a question for the city attorney, Attorney McClanahan. As I understand the commission's role in these directives, our role is simply to either approve or offer amendments. Is that correct?
Thanks, Chair. So Haley McClanahan, Assistant City Attorney. I'm the staff attorney assigned to the Police Commission. Yes, I would say generally that's a fair assessment of your role. I think certainly the past practice of the commission at certain times over the last several years has been a bit more proactive in terms of initiating reviews of rules or directives that are of a particular priority to the commission, so sort of maybe initiating the process, even if informally, to take up a review. But yes, ultimately, the role is to provide feedback to any proposed changes, regardless of sort of where the initiation of that change is coming from. So I hope that answers the question, but I'm happy to provide more information if there's, particular way the question's headed.
Sure. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you. So at this time, with regard to Public Information Directive DD 30, do any of the commissioners have any amendments to offer to that? Commissioner Paul?
I'm trying to understand. I thought we were on 01, not on 30.
Well, I'm going to go from 30. I'm going to go then to 01.
Oh, okay. I'm just going
we
in the...
were discussing 01. We're discussing 30. It was just all on the
okay.
business, so I was just starting with 30.
Okay.
Is that
all right?
okay?
Yeah. I'm just trying to keep track.
Sure,
That's
sure.
all.
So again, does anyone have any amendments to offer for Public Information Directive DD 30? Hearing none, I would simply move that we approve Public Information Directive as DD 30 as offered by the Burlington Police Department. Do I hear a
Can I
second?
ask a question, Chair Depper?
Sure, go ahead, Commissioner Cox.
So are you saying that we can't ask questions?
Oh, you certainly can ask questions.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I
okay.
thought I was asking, I thought I solicited questions for everything. I'm sorry if I was not clear. Do you have questions about DD 30?
No, it just sounded like very cut and dried, like either we offer an amendment or we just accept it. And so I just wanted to make sure we could also ask questions.
Well, that was ultimately my understanding of the role of the commission. That's why I was asking Attorney McClanahan about that. But I mean, if you have questions for DD 30, please feel free to ask them before we vote on them.
I don't. I think it's great.
Okay, fantastic. So did I hear a second to vote on that?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of approving Public Information Directive DD 30 as offered by the Burlington Police Department, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, hearing none, that is approved. Moving on to Law Enforcement Role and Authority, DD01. I would move that we accept that as provided by the Burlington Police Department. Do I have a second to that?
I second.
Second? Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner Cox. All those in favor, please say aye.
Could we have a little more discussion? Is that all right?
Sure, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Commissioner Paul has asked for some more discussion. Please go ahead, Commissioner Paul.
Thank you. I just have one question. This is for the, if I might ask a question of the chief. Unfortunately, for me, it's easier to use a red line copy so that I know what the changes are. I'm trying to read them side by side, and clearly there are some changes. I was just hoping that you could give me and perhaps others a brief synopsis of what the main changes are to the directive that was approved in 2024 to the one that is now being proposed for 25.
Certainly, thanks for that question, and I'll happily do that. Essentially, the change that really makes this necessary for us is that in 2025, the Vermont Criminal Justice Council published a new code of conduct that we have to adopt by statute. So what has been done here is we looked at the components of the code of conduct published by the council, and then feathered those into the existing department rules. The only other real substantive change is that the oath at the beginning is the most recent oath from 2024, where the previous one was from 1991. So again, like the changes that were inserted into the rules are already adopted by virtue of statute, and we just wanted one cohesive directive on conduct more broadly.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Commissioner Paul. Is there any more, are there any more questions or discussion with regard to DD-01? Hearing none, I believe we already have a motion and a second to vote on DD-01. All those in favor of accepting it as provided by the Burlington Police Department, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Excellent, thank you. Those opposed, it appears there are none, so that will pass as approved. Moving on to discussion of DD-03, fair and impartial policing, and an update on the referral. Certainly for the newer commissioners and for everybody else's, including my edification, went back and looked at the minutes from our May meeting. There was and the minutes say that Commissioner Oskey proposed additions and modifications to DD-03. Will Lambeck of Migrant Justice spoke on behalf of the organization to offer insight into their recommended changes to DD-03. Commissioner Keefe asked to review input from both the Burlington Police Department and City Attorney, in addition to Migrant Justice, before sending an edited document to the Vermont Criminal Justice Commission. Commissioner Oskey moved to table the item and refer the current draft to the Commission with a cover letter to raise a question about parenthetical in the document after full review by all commissioners, which was approved unanimously. I did have a brief email exchange with Attorney McClanahan about that, and we're kind of in a procedural, kind of a weird sort of space in that the commissioners that asked to review the entire thing are no longer with us, but it was approved unanimously. So the way I read that, or the way I understand that, and I'm open to alternative views, is that we would need to hold on this to allow the new commissioners an opportunity to look at that and review it before we send it off to the Vermont Criminal Justice Center. Now, I think we also, I believe, procedurally could have a separate vote to simply go ahead and send that off, but in deference to my new colleagues, I didn't want to make that decision for y'all. So is there any discussion about this? Any questions about what am I even talking about? I will certainly entertain those types of questions.
So
yes,
Chair
Commissioner
Deppard,
Cox, go ahead.
So my understanding was from our previous meetings that a large part of why it was tabled, why it was agreed to be tabled, was that material was in Commissioner Oskey's draft that had been considered by the state council and had been rejected. And so because there had already been an opportunity for them to include something like that, but they decided against it. And this is supposed to be a standard statewide directive. And so with some like little adjustments being able to be made, but not wholesale inclusion of stuff that wasn't agreed upon at the state level. What I would suggest is this: since Chief Burke is going through all of the directives and updating them, to let him do a directive, and then we can ask questions at that time. And we could look at what Commissioner Oskey had proposed back in the spring, but also with it in mind that there is a statewide standard and that our directive should meet that statewide standard.
Sure, and I certainly appreciate that perspective, Commissioner Cox. I am a little bit instrumental about how the commissioner, or how the commission has functioned, at least in May, in that we unanimously approved a course of action. And so At this point, I am really asking my fellows on the commission whether or not they want to proceed with that course of action to, for the new commissioners to review DD03 and the modifications for, I don't know, a period of time. We could say for a week or 2 weeks or whatever. And everyone can let, our fellows know that they are done reviewing it and they're ready to send off or to create the letter. Or if there's some other course of action. And hold on, I see you, Commissioner Cox, but if you want to make a motion to, essentially revote that issue and say, no, we don't want to do that anymore, we want to do something else, we can entertain that as well. So do you have a motion, Commissioner Cox, that you would like to move us in a different direction?
Well, so it's never been done this way in terms of the commission writing a directive, or at least never in the couple of years that I've been on the commission. It's been that the police department writes the commission and we approve of what they wrote. And now certainly we can collaborate and make suggestions as to what's in there, but to wholesale write a directive has not been something that we've engaged in, at least while I've been on the commission. And I'm really respectful of all of the progress that Chief Burke has made and his sensitivity and sensibility. And so I would propose that we allow Chief Burke to review the existing directive, make what changes that he feels appropriate, send it to us for review, just as he sent us the public affairs one and the DDO one for us to review. And then at that time, if we want to ask why something wasn't added, or if this particular issue is not addressed, then we could ask those questions at that time.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cox. Commissioner Comerford, I see that your hand was up briefly. Okay, there you go. Yes, please.
Yeah, I would suggest that we follow, kind of bring the two ideas together, yours and Commissioner Cox, and that we do not, entertain it in any detail tonight. We support the chief in reviewing it and making changes, et cetera, et cetera. We give our new colleagues on the commission time to absorb it, and then be able to ask questions and take it up at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. So what I'm understanding is that there is a motion to, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm kind of doing this on the fly, there is a motion to table this matter to allow Chief Burke to weigh in on the copy and allow our new commissioners a chance to review that copy that Chief Burke may have some modifications to. Did I understand that correctly? Yes, Commissioner Cox.
So I would say that's not exactly what I said. I think that he just needs to be allowed to create that directive in the way that he wants to create it. Then now we can look at it and look at Commissioner Oski's suggestions and then ask him about those suggestions. But I think a lot of her suggestions, as I say, were things that the state commission had decided against. And so that may be why, in fact, he wouldn't have included things. But I think that allowing him to do his work first and then us reviewing it makes most sense. So I would ask that you ask Chief Burke when he thinks that he'll have a chance to review and edit or finalize their version of DD03, and then, or do I have the number right? The one on a fair, impartial policing, and then submit it to us the same way that he did the other two that we looked at tonight, and then we could ask these kinds of questions.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cox. Chief Burke, what is workable for you and your schedule?
If the commission could afford me until the September meeting, because I have two other directives kind of teed up for August.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chief. So, again, I'm not disagreeing with you or objecting to you, Commissioner Cox, but we do have previous commission unanimous vote on how we were going to proceed. So what I'm looking for is a motion to modify that action, right? for the commission to modify its own previous action so that we can do this. Okay, so is that a motion you were making? Yes, Commissioner Cox, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we delay any further action on this directive until after Chief Burke has had an opportunity to write the directive as he would like it to be. And then we can vote at that time on what further action, if any, that we want to take or suggestions that we might want to make.
Okay, thank you. And do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, all right. And thank you very much. It's been moved and seconded. Before we vote, I just had one more question for the chief. Chief, you said the September meeting. Do you mean that you, just for clarification, do you mean that you will need until September to start working on, or for your folks to start working on that directive, or do you mean that it will be done at the end of August and we can take it up in September?
The latter being the case.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, all those in favor of the motion by Commissioner Cox, please say aye.
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 Excellent. Those opposed, hearing none, that carries. So that is what we shall do. Thank you very much, Commissioner Cox, Chief Burke, appreciate that. Now, moving on to discussion of the Complaints Committee. Attorney McClanahan, can you just real briefly let us know exactly, or I'd say exactly, what the Commission's responsibilities are with regard to complaints, both citizen and internal, from the police department?
Sure, I can give just a really broad synopsis, and then what I would also do is direct the commission and members of the public that might be tuning in to reference the commission's, the shorthand of the policy is the complaint policy. I will butcher the full title, but it's essentially a document that was prepared back in 2020 that sort of outlines the roles and responsibilities of processing complaints that both are submitted to the police department by the public, as well as internal complaints that arise at the department. Very broadly, the commission has a role in reviewing complaints and materials that are, associated with that complaints that come into the department. Depending on the severity of the conduct, outlines when the commission would, at what point in the process the commission would sort of weigh in or offer advice or recommendation to the chief or whoever the chief has designated to, to review the complaint and to dispose of it. So ultimately, the commission's role in the complaint process is an advisory one, but it's an important part of the process to provide feedback, review of incidents to the chief or to the investigator, and that for more serious complaints resulting in more, serious misconduct, that role needs to happen before a final determination on any disciplinary outcome is rendered. So certainly I'm happy to provide a more detailed follow-up on sort of the nuts and bolts on that process, but broadly speaking, it's an advisory role to the chief and to the internal investigator within the department.
Okay, thank you very much. And so traditionally, has the commission the police department sends the commission complaints, and the commission, at least theoretically, reviews those complaints and picks some out to flag for the chief or the police department? Is that accurate?
I agree with your first 2 points that traditionally the commission will be informed of complaints either by the administration of the police department, or if there are complaints that are submitted directly to commissioners, they'll receive them that way, that they will review the complaints and any relevant materials. And if there are complaints of a particular interest or particular that the commission has particular input for the department on, certainly they will provide that. As to your third point, when you say that the commission sort of picks out complaints or flags complaints. I'm not too sure about what you're getting at with that third point. But yes, generally I agree. The commission's role is to be notified that the complaints have come in, and to review the complaints and to provide feedback if they have any.
Okay. They can provide feedback on any complaint or on no complaints. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, under the policy, if the commission had no feedback, I think the response would be no feedback or agree with the proposed course of action. But generally, the policy does contemplate an opportunity to have it be a process where the commission is engaged.
Okay, all right, thank you. And is that a mandatory function of the commission to review these complaints?
Yes.
Under the policy that was that I just referred to, that was established in 2020, yes, it is required by that policy.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that, Attorney McClanahan. So,
Chair?
yes,
Can I
go
make a
ahead,
comment?
Commissioner Comerford.
It is the heart of the work of the commission to be reviewing these materials, acting on behalf of citizens of Burlington in all its aspects and communities.
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner Comerford. I appreciate that. Which leads me into the fact that
Commissioner Chair Depper, I'm sorry. The
Yes,
process, though, the process is laid out in the directive that the commission has agreed to, is that the police department first investigates, comes up with a determination of how they want the disposition to be. That's when we get involved. We look at the complaint, we look at videos, we look at materials, we look at the investigation, and then we decide either we accept what the police chief has determined, or we would like more information, or we just come to a point where we just disagree. And that's all laid out in the directive.
Okay, thank you very much. And for posterity, I guess, Attorney McClanahan or any commissioners, do you recall what directive number that is, or what policy number that is?
Chair.
Go ahead. Attorney McClanahan, go ahead.
I will just say briefly, and then I think I might have heard the chief jumping in, so I would be interested to hear his thoughts. I'm referring to a specific policy that is a shared policy of the commission and the department. If it has been incorporated into a directive, I'm not aware of that. So if that is a change that's happened, I'd like the chiefs to weigh in on that. But I'm referring to a specific joint policy of the department and the commission.
Okay, thank you very much. And does that policy have a name? Go ahead.
The policy does have a name. It is the role of the Burlington Police Commission in reviewing complaints against BPD employees. It's the first item under documents and reports. To make it easy for everyone, I have already emailed it to everyone.
Okay, great. And as we are talking about the Complaints Committee, I thought it worthwhile to go through that if anyone actually happens to watch this video from the public. So, all that being said, the Complaints Committee consists of myself only right now because we have had so much turnover. The other two members of the committee left, and so that the committee would still have existence, I joined it. So at this point, I think it would be valuable to fill out that committee a little bit so that we can start making some progress on getting through these complaints. So I am happy to stay on this committee. Would anyone else like to be on the committee? Yes, Commissioner Finneran, you would like to be on the committee? Okay.
Can I ask a question about the committee makeup?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Commissioner Genorio.
Is it always, I mean, if we vote on who is a committee member, is it necessarily the same, or could it be a rotating group of people on the commission so that perhaps not always the same people are burdened with that responsibility, or is that not a possibility?
Sure, I think that's a great idea. And as I recall, and Attorney McClanahan can correct me if I'm wrong, but as I recall, with these committees, the language authorizing these committees is usually something to the effect of the chair will appoint. And so however y'all want to do that is fine with me. But, you know, just from a practical, logistical perspective, you know, Commissioner Finneran has indicated she would like to be on the committee. I, as the chair, so appoint Commissioner Finneran. So if anyone else would like to, please raise your hand and you shall be appointed.
I'd be happy to join.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Genorio. And Commissioner Comerford, I see your hand is up as well. You are muted, I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
My comment is that, this is my 4th year on the commission, and during the time, for the first 2 years or so, the committee as a whole reviewed all the tapes, all the camera stuff, all the materials, and we discussed it all together. That was a little unwieldy, but it worked. The detail level in this is very high, and the workload is very high. I would suggest that if we decide that we want to rotate, we rotate year by year, or 6 months by 6 months, because it's not going to work well otherwise. It takes a while to sort of be able to pick up all the things you need to know in order to sort of really do the work that needs to be done. That was my experience.
Okay, thank you very much, Commissioner Comerford. And Attorney McClanahan, I saw you had your hand up briefly.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just wanted to flag that, the other committee that's been referenced this evening, the Animal Control Committee, is a function of the Police Commission that's set up by ordinance by the City Council. So that committee sort of has rules that the City Council has outlined in a very specific purpose for when the committee is assembled, et cetera. So in establishing a complaints committee, it would be just a little bit different because it's essentially a special subcommittee, kind of an ad hoc committee that the commission would be establishing. Okay. And so just as we sort of fill out the parameters of the subcommittee, just sort of, being mindful that that committee would become kind of its own little mini commission, and so would be subject to open meeting law requirements. So we just want to make sure we had a good understanding of, the number of people that are assigned to that committee, what the length of the charge is, and so that way, my office as well as the clerk for the commission can support in warning those meetings and making sure we're tracking in that way.
Okay, thank you very much. So when you are talking about open meetings law and the number of people on that committee, can you fill that out for me a little bit? Are you suggesting that if 4 people or more on that committee, you would have a quorum and you would need to abide by open meetings law? And if you had less than 4 people, then the strictures would not be quite so specific?
Not quite. So what I'm suggesting is that if you're standing up a brand new subcommittee, that subcommittee would essentially function as its own public body. So the number of people assigned to that committee, whatever majority of the assignment to that committee, that would constitute your quorum. Okay. So you would need to warn your meetings, your meetings would be warned as a subcommittee of, a working title, but complaint subcommittee of Burlington Police Commission. Okay,
thank you very much. So at this point, myself, Commissioner Finneran, Commissioner Genorio are members of this committee. Would anyone else like to join this committee? Hearing none, it sounds like that's us. So, all right, so Attorney McClanahan, do we need to do anything more formal to establish this committee as such?
I think given that you're setting up, as I said, essentially an ad hoc subcommittee, a vote to do that, I think would probably be in order. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I would move to set up the Complaints Committee as an ad hoc committee at this point, consisting of myself, Commissioner Finneran and Commissioner Janorio. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Cox. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, those opposed? Hearing none, that committee is formed. All right, and I see that we had this scheduled, we have this section scheduled for 30 minutes. We are now at 35 minutes. If we want to go into more discussion on the modifications to the agenda, or if we want to table them, I will entertain moments to extend our time right now or to table those matters. Whoever would like to make either motion.
Chair Deborah, may I ask a question before we
Yes, Commissioner Cox, go ahead.
get into those motions? So in all the previous years, including this last year, we frequently had meetings that were longer than a set time. And I guess I'm just worried about, like, do you have like a set time in mind that you think that a meeting should last? Because it's frequently been an hour and a half, sometimes even 2 hours, depending on what it is that we're dealing with. And so I just didn't understand if you had a set time in your mind.
Sure.
This meeting should last.
Sure, I appreciate that. I don't have a particular belief on how long meetings should last, but the warned meeting that we have tonight has very specific times set on the agenda. And so I want to be, I want to be respectful of both my fellow commissioners' time and the public's time as people, at least theoretically, tune in at times that they think a particular item of interest may be had. And so with that in mind, that's why I'm asking that question. If we're going to extend the time, that's fine, but we're extending it for everybody, including the chief and our support staff that are here. And so I just want to acknowledge that we are doing that and have a vote on it, or in the alternative, if people are not interested in extending that time, to move to table the matter so that we can take it up again. Go ahead, Commissioner Cox.
So I move to extend the time by 15 minutes to discuss the motion, the matters that Commissioner Paul had suggested to be added to
All right.
agenda.
Thank you. Okay, thank you
I'll
very much.
second.
I got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, those opposed? Hearing none, we will move on to discussion of, I suppose, the retreat would be the first item. So, Commissioner Paul, would you like to chat about that?
Sure, thank you very much. So thanks so much to everyone for the support of adding this to the agenda. What I had said in the email that I had sent about 2 weeks ago, and just for the benefit of the public, in work that I've done in various boards and other capacities, including with the City of Burlington, I find that it is helpful and productive to begin the year with either whatever you want to call it, a retreat, an informal meeting, another meeting that differs in format from the one that we are at tonight. And in particular, I brought this forward because this is an unusual year for the commission, that there are 3 new commissioners out of 7, and a couple that are relatively new, with the exception of Commissioners Comerford and Cox, who have been here for a couple of years. I thought this would be an opportunity for us to get to know one another, an opportunity to meet more informally, and I would suggest that we try to find a date when all 7 of us can attend, preferably in person at a location that is accommodating to all who can attend, so we can all be there together in the same room. And the brief outline that I would suggest, although obviously it's just a suggestion, is for each commissioner to describe what compelled them to apply and to serve on the commission, what their priorities are for the year, talk about bylaws for the police commission, and review documents pertaining to the commission's work, and then to understand the charge of the commission, and also, and certainly as importantly, to hear from the chief on his priorities for the coming year, to get input from union representatives, officer leadership in addition to the chief, and others to be determined. So I don't know that that's something that we can put together for the month of August, as many people do tend to take a little bit of time away from Burlington. Not that it isn't beautiful here, but lots of people do tend to take time in the summer, but to perhaps do this as soon as possible after Labor Day. So that's my brief synopsis in the interest of time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Paul. Are there any questions? Okay, I have a couple of questions. My first question is, as a separate warned meeting, so this would be a special meeting then, correct? Okay.
It can be called that.
Okay.
Yes,
Well,
it would
I
be.
think that's what the.
Yes,
yeah,
it
I
would
think that's
be.
what it would be. Okay.
And there are differences for a special meeting versus a regular
Right.
meeting.
Okay. And so what do you anticipate in terms of the logistical lift of getting all of these people together and all that kind of thing? Do you think it would be appropriate to establish a separate committee to do that? Or are there should that be a committee? Are there other commissioners that want to affirmatively pitch in to do that? I'm just thinking logistically, if we're going to set up a special meeting for September, that's a lot of people to talk to and, coordinate and warn and all that kind of stuff. And it is a special meeting, so I'm just asking, would it be appropriate for a committee, or should we just volunteer on an ad hoc basis?
Well, if you're asking me, I mean, based on what having done this a couple of times in the past, if others want to do this work, then certainly, I mean, I as one person I would be happy to have anyone, I think that would be great. On the other hand, a lot of it is logistical, and it could be done by one person, but it doesn't need to be. I just have a feeling that probably it would be hard to put that together in a couple of weeks. It would be something that I think could be done for September, when everyone is usually back and onto a routine again. And in terms of the number of people, there are a large number of people, but, in today's day and age, it's not that hard to find out what dates people are available and put something together. As a special meeting, it doesn't have to be warned in as much time, but if substantive information is going to be given, and it's not just simply operational and getting to know one another, then it does then it does fall under the open meeting law, and we have a city attorney here for anyone who has any questions about those logistics.
Sure. And so my expectation would be, Attorney McClanahan, that sort of a special meeting would need to be warned and recorded?
Yes, absolutely. And Commissioner Paul nailed it. It is, although it's a more informal sort of maybe setting or discussion items, if you are getting into substantive conversation about commission priorities, things that may come before you on an agenda throughout the year, it should be warned. And I sent some guidance to a couple commissioners to that end, and I'm happy to circulate it to the whole group, but certainly if there are specific questions about whether, a certain detail meets the requirements of the statute, I'm happy to help answer those.
Okay. And thank you, Attorney McClanahan. And Commissioner Cox, I see your hand is raised.
I think that there's been some discussion of some food too, and I'm happy to pitch in for food. And I think that, if everybody could pitch in a little bit, then we could have a nice little spread to welcome the new members and the chief and the other people from the BPD.
Okay. And in terms of assisting Commissioner Paul in this special meeting, would anyone like to volunteer to assist? Commissioner Cox, I see your hand is raised. Are you volunteering beyond food?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Anybody else? No?
I have my
go
hand
ahead.
up.
Commissioner, okay. Oh, hold on one second. Commissioner Comfort, Commissioner Fast beat you to it.
Hi. I think I love the idea, and I love the idea of connection, and I'm really excited for that. I think the thing that I have a question about is how we're like coming up with our strategic priorities, because I think that Chief Burke and the police department, I would want to like inform a lot of our agenda, and have you set that tone and like also give us the boundaries of what we can work within. And so I'm wondering how that can happen first, so then we can have that guide whatever our agenda might be for this kickoff or this special meeting, and
Commissioner
how we
Decker.
could go about that.
Sure, yeah, thank you very
Commissioner
much.
Decker.
Yes,
So,
hold on, Commissioner Cox, hold on one second. Commissioner Comerford had her hand up right after Commissioner Fast, so I wanted to recognize Commissioner Comerford.
So I would just like to say to Commissioner Paul, I am at your service.
Okay,
This is a great idea. It's so important for us to have an idea where one another is coming from in the deliberation, the important deliberations that we often have to do, and really establish kind of a set of expectations for ourselves and one another in terms of our behavior in our deliberations. So I think it's a fabulous idea, and I wish we had done it every single year in the Police Commission.
okay, thank you very much, Commissioner Comerford. Am I understanding you said you were at her service, so are you volunteering to assist as well?
Yes, I'm at her service.
Okay,
Thank you.
I assume that is a yes, thank you. And Commissioner Cox, you had your hand raised again?
so I was just going to say that the point of inviting the chief and like the leadership from BPOA or whatever is decided on is so that they can inform our understandings of what Chief Burke's goals are and priorities are. And then we can think about how can we go about working with that and supporting that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, Commissioner Cox. I don't have any issue with that. But I would ask that everyone who's putting this together just keep the rest of the commissioners apprised of what's going on. And, you know, as y'all move through the process, you know, solicit any, you know, ideas that folks may have for whatever substantive issues y'all are looking to add to the agenda.
Absolutely.
Okay. Are there any other questions on that matter? Hearing none, let's move on, and I realize we are getting real close to the extra 15 minutes that Commissioner Cox offered and that we voted on. So the next item would be the discussion of attending the roll call with BPD to meet the officers, do commendations, that kind of thing. I believe that was also an idea of Commissioner Paul, so I'll cede the floor to you, Commissioner Paul.
Thanks. So briefly, I think that, you know, one of the other things that I had mentioned in the email was ride-alongs is a valuable way to get to see what the officers do, but we can save that for another time, and perhaps even have that conversation at the special meeting. The item is about roll call, and I would suggest that we discuss having a commission meeting to commence immediately following a roll call so that the commission can be present for this, to get to know the officers, and also for them to get to know us as well. I've heard from a number of officers and others that doing the commendations at a roll call would be an ideal opportunity to have the officers present to hear this action. And I think it would also give us an opportunity to get a tour of the police station. There's a lot of things going on over there, and the renovation work that's being done, and I think it would be great for the commission to see on the inside what work is being done, and just one more way to interact with our officers. So I'm not suggesting that this would be something that we need to do in August. It may be logistically something that would be better for September, October, but I think that it would be something that would be important to the officers, and certainly if Chief Burke has other opinions, I'm sure he'll make them known.
Thank you, Commissioner Paul. Any questions in that regard? I have a couple, but does anybody else have any questions? Go ahead, Commissioner Cox.
So I guess my main question is, does this sound good to Chief Burke? And could we maybe flesh it out a little bit when we meet for the retreat? Because that's exactly the sort of thing, as well as, for example, having commission meetings in various locations around Burlington so that we're hitting those neighborhoods that don't normally get to see us if we're just sitting in the City Hall office downtown.
Okay, thank you very much for that comment, Commissioner Cox. I understood that as 2 points, and correct me if I'm wrong. The first question I share, which, and I will ask Chief Burke as well, about not being too disruptive to his work and the work of his officers in that regard. And the second comment you made, as I understood it, was a desire for the commission to kind of get out into the community. I think we've had that conversation before, and certainly I agree that that is probably a great thing to bring up at a retreat or a special meeting. So moving to my first point, Chief, what does that look like for you logistically?
I think it's a fantastic idea, and that staff would be excited to meet the new commissioners and see the existing commissioners. And we do have, or the city has invested a lot of fiscal resources into police headquarters, and it would be good to show those off. And I think we're tracking for that work to be done by late September, but I can touch base with Shannon on like when the best time would be to come and visit us.
Okay, sure. And if you could just, at your earliest convenience, if you could just update the chair on what kind of timing you're looking like, so I can, let all the commissioners know what that sort of looks like.
Happily.
All right, thank you very much. All right, are there any other questions or comments on that item? All right, very well. I think that concludes our discussion with regard to committee business, and I will now move on to the chief's report and give the floor to you, Chief.
Great, thank you so much. So in the packet this evening is the chief's report. I kind of use this opportunity as just some basic table setting. So just so the new commissioners are aware that I rely solely on the city data team to produce these data illustrations that are within the report, very consistent in format with the Fire Commission report, which I think helps us because then we can use the same product with the Public Safety Committee. So in terms of operations of the department, you'll see kind of a breakdown of our total incident count and then which elements of the organization are responding to these in a primary function. So you'll probably note that we're trending upward in terms of total incidents. I'll say don't be alarmed by that. What we're also tracking with this is what we're reacting to, meaning what is reported to the police department, and then what are we using our discretionary time to be proactive. And there's some further illustrations here that'll kind of better flesh out what our proactive activity looks like.
Chief Burke, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but normally Town Meeting TV would be showing your slides, and they're not doing that. And I was wondering if someone could show the slides so that all the remote viewers could see. Thank you.
But now Shibe from police headquarters has made these available for us. So, yeah, this first illustration, again, it shows the overall incident count trending upward. Something that we're looking to drill down on right now is our online reporting function. So we do have some new online reporting technology that we're going to be rolling out, and also a very clear process of who is reviewing what types of online reports come in, how they're closed out, how we communicate with the complainants in those instances, and also if any incidents need follow-up, who will be responsible for that workflow. So probably more to come on that, but that's a new system. And then simultaneously, I'm working with the CAPE team on really developing a category of about 4 incident types where CSLs, or community support liaisons, could potentially be primary responders. As this branch of the police department was built out, it was really to address those social service calls that we feel social workers can be primary responders on. So we're working on some internal policy guidance, protocol guidance really, that we hope to beta test here mid to late August, with maybe something a little more formal by September 1. And that's really a quest to get some of this workload off our sworn officers. You know, we're sitting at about 63 officers, and we're going to be in the mid-60s for, you know, the better part of this year as we look at having one recruit in the upcoming class, which I'll call out here in a few moments, as well as an opportunity to potentially send 4 recruits to the February class. So just scrolling down to the second illustration here on page 1, our top 10 incident categories that we're engaged in thus far in 2025. You'll see foot patrol is a huge outlier. Suspicious events, I just want to kind of put a pin in suspicious events. This is probably the messiest category of police incidents. The best way that I like to think about this is if these are all reactionary calls, meaning the public is calling into us and they're reporting something that they're really uncertain about, that means that they feel unsafe in their neighborhood, whether that's due to criminality, antisocial behavior. That's where it gets really messy. So we'll want to drill down kind of on that, and also we're working with the data team on a way to heat map a lot of this activity so we can really lean in on how we deploy various resources of the department. Directed patrol, that's really just a nuance. So if a cop or a CSO, community service officer, does a foot patrol, it is what it is. If those entities do a directed patrol, that means it's a motorized patrol of a hot spot that we've identified that we're trying to saturate. Trespass complaints are trending upward this year. That's not a surprise given the number of unhoused folks living in the community. Assist to the public, again, we do a lot of different work for not only the public, but neighboring other entities within the community. So that's not an outlier. Mental health issue, I think we all understand the state of affairs in the city as it relates to the mental health crisis that's unfolding. Agency assist, this is where we could be assisting another police department or governmental agency. Found or lost property, that's a huge service that we provide. Welfare check, and then traffic enforcement. What I always like to highlight here is I never use the term law enforcement because it's really the smallest segment of our work. It's one of the most critical functions of a police department, but a police department is full service. And it's interesting when you look at our data how we spend the lion's share of our time. Any questions on those two illustrations? Excellent. Then moving on.
I'm sorry, Chief. Commissioner Cox, your hand is raised. Do you have a question?
I'm sorry, that was raised from a while back. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Thank you, Chief Burke.
Certainly. So moving on to page 2, just kind of a breakdown of proactive incidents. So this is a catchment of a variety of incidents to include foot patrols, traffic stops, outreach, directed patrol, and other things that we do in our discretionary time. This illustration here just kind of highlights that we're all in downtown in 2025, as opposed to earlier years. I knew coming back to the police department that City Hall Park in the Church Street Marketplace perennially that this is a challenge for us. This year we had some real, I guess not to overuse the words, but a lot of challenging behavior in these spaces. And the best way to try to address that is by putting both our sworn police officers and community support officers or community service officers in that space, and we have been doing so. It does come at the detriment of other things that I hear about from constituents in other areas of the city. I'll just, by way of example, the new North End has been really asking for some traffic enforcement, and that's simply work that we haven't been able to get to just because of the demands downtown and where we feel that we need to deploy our resources. But these other areas are not, those calls from constituents are not lost on us, just we don't have enough to go around right now. We'll continue to look at this as well as how other calls for service overlay this, and this is where heat mapping will be super important moving forward if we can get it right, because we'll understand that if we've got all of our cops downtown, but really the calls for service related to crime and disorder, if those are dwindling, then we should look at other areas that are likely flaring up. The bottom paragraph here just speaks to the situation table. I know that that was mentioned earlier in the meeting. So this is an initiative that the mayor's office was able to launch by way of a grant opportunity from the Department of Public Safety. Burlington is the 5th community to use the situation model. It's essentially like a hyper-focused CompStat. So it involves not only the government actors in the space of human services, but all of our non-government partners, people, entities such as UVMMC, our designated agency, the Howard Center, the faith-based community, really a broad spectrum. When we were trained in June, there was about 60 or 70 of us convened to learn how to use this model. And essentially what happens is all the providers come to a weekly meeting. The meeting's about 45 minutes in length. Anybody that's a participant can elevate an individual situation that's at really extreme elevated risk of harm, whether that's harm to themselves, harm to the community. And the other criteria is that their behavior or situation has to touch multiple service areas. And then we screen these situations ultimately through 4 filters, the 4th filter being the entities who will respond to this person and offer an intervention within 24 to 48 hours. So we had our first meeting last week. We listened to 2 situations. 2 filter 4 teams were developed, and we'll hear tomorrow about how those interventions went. So these other communities that are using this in Vermont with great success include Bennington, Springfield, Brattleboro, and Rutland. They've been up and running for a few months. We're pretty optimistic about this simply because it's not a duplication of work, but rather a synchronization of all these resources with some focus, and then the accountability piece of having to come back a week later if you're on the Filter 4 team and explain what you did or did not do. So very optimistic and thankful to the Department of Public Safety. Commissioner Morrison was instrumental in this, as well as city administration and specifically Ingrid Jonas, who kind of led the charge on bringing this to Burlington. Moving on to page 3, we've had some personnel movements. We're always excited but sad when people move on after 20 and 21 years of service, but we did have 2 corporals. Tom Chenette and Carolyn Irwin are retiring after meeting their service requirements to the city, and they will be sorely lost, especially at a time where it's really hard to hire new staff, but you always hate to see 41 years of experience go out the door. One kind of area 2 areas where that make me a little optimistic. We were able to bring back John Young. John Young retired from the Burlington Police Department in 2021, worked in the private sector in a leadership role. He was identified through our Deputy Chief of Police search process as our candidate. So he is here as in an interim role as well, which allows us a couple of things that are instrumental. 1, plug and play experience and leadership at the BPD. 2, in an interim role, we can really do some intentional work in developing our next level leaders to take on these roles in the future, because BPD has historically always been just a machine of producing good public safety leaders. So very excited to have him joining us, and we were able to identify 1 new police officer candidate that joined us this past Monday. And this person will attend the 120th session of the Vermont Police Academy. Her name is Ratna Polk, and she is now spending the next, I had this wrong in the report, it's the next 2 weeks with us before she goes to the academy. We call it pre-basic. Essentially what we do is orient staff to what the academy experience is going to be like, make sure that they're equipped and ready to go, and also teach them some of the basics that you need to know. We've all maybe not everyone on the commission understands, but we use a residential academy in the state of Vermont. So this candidate will spend 17 weeks with the ability to come home on the weekend in a paramilitary environment. We like to prepare folks for that. So some of the basics, so when the stress is on, you don't really have to think about it. Some of the reassurances that, your boots are never shiny enough, you're always late, there's always dust in the room, don't worry about those things. The process, get through the first phase of that, and once the academics are on, please pay attention there. And then just kind of an overview of the process. After a new employee graduates from the police academy, they do return back here to BPD, where they spend 14 weeks in field training. And that's really where we take the basic skill set and elevate that so they're ready to serve the Burlington community, which is one of the most challenging environments to police in the state, probably the most challenging environment to police in the state. So that's kind of in sum and substance the chief's report for this month. I will just kind of highlight the last bullet points or the things that we're up to in June and July. One is implementation of the formal recruitment plan. We know that we have to hit the streets really, really hard in order to get a applicant pool sufficient enough to identify 4 viable candidates for the February class. So that is of strong focus. We're continuing to really lean in on our foot patrol and directed patrols in the downtown core. That's what the data suggests. The public has been very, very receptive to this. And as I share with staff internally, public safety is vital to vibrancy, and Burlington needs vibrancy. Like this evening on the Church Street Marketplace, it's an amazing night in Burlington, and people need to feel safe that they can come down here because they are safe to come down to Burlington. We have improved some customer service interface, both on the BPD phone lines and on our website, which that's work that's evolving. And if there's anything else new here, I guess just to highlight what will be in the August commissioner packet commission packet in terms of policy, and that is our body-worn camera policy. This again is another statewide model policy. We just have to bring that into compliance. And then we did have a very, very old, like circa 2010 directive on online reporting, and we're just going to bring that policy to commissioners to look that over and make sure that it's congruent with how we're handling online reports today in 2025. So that's it, but I'm happy to answer any questions that the commission has.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Are there any questions from anybody? Go ahead, Commissioner Paul.
I just have one. So I think the formal recruitment plan is like the cornerstone of what's going to be, I'm sure, one of your main focuses over the next 2 years. And I don't know if that formal recruitment plan is something that the commission has discussed in the past. If it has, you can certainly refer me to where that was. But if it hasn't been, I would hope that we could add that either as an agenda item for August or for September, but soon, to hear what your recruitment plan is, as I do think one of the charges of the Police Commission in being the liaison with the community, and a community who would like to see wonderful officers serving in our city, I think that certainly is something that I hope we would be able to not only support, but also to play an active role in assisting you with.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. I can share the report with the commission via email. I would call this version 1.0. We were historically a profession that could just kind of sit back and allow applications to roll in. That's no longer us. We actually have to go out and be recruiters. So we're working toward that. I think you'll find it pretty basic out of the gate in terms of leveraging social media, some digital marketing, and then some other community-based initiatives that are somewhat traditional, always open to new ideas, especially with folks that have a background in hiring people or specifically headhunting folks. And again, it's going to take us a while to do this work, but I think a big part of our success really lies in our employee testimonials about why folks choose to work in Burlington. We all have a reason why. It's a fantastic place to be a police officer. We're also partnering with some of the business community and other residents to get those testimonials. I think it would be powerful potentially to have a commissioner offer a testimonial about why policing is important in the vibrancy of a city. So happy to talk further about this, but I'll get that plan out to you likely tomorrow.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any other questions? And I see Commissioner Fennerin, you just have your hand up. Commissioner Cox was first, though. So Commissioner Cox, I'll recognize you.
Yes, I was just wondering, in the past, like when you have new recruits actually becoming like police officers after the academy with the BPD, and there would be some ceremony that members of the commission were invited to that ceremony, or during, I guess there's times when officers are like promoted, and there's some like general ceremony for all these things. And I was hoping that members of the commissions could still be invited to these things.
Yes, certainly, and we're scheduled to have a swearing-in ceremony for our new officer, as well as returning Deputy Chief John Young next Monday afternoon. I'll make sure that Shive gets an invite out to your emails. Just let me know if it's email preferred or if you use Outlook, and we'll have it in the right format.
Thank you, Chief. And Commissioner Cox, your hand is still up. Do you have anything else? Okay, your hand is now down, so I take that as a no. Commissioner Finneran?
Thank you. I'm just curious how much of a barrier it is to recruitment that new recruits have to go and live somewhere else for 17 weeks.
So that's like a huge question that's been out in this space for a long time. And what we don't have is the data of people not applying because they've learned about the Vermont Police Academy either anecdotally or online. I will say that the Vermont Criminal Justice Council right now is undertaking the process of evaluating an alternative path towards certification, which I think could be very, very valuable, but I'm cautiously optimistic because the Academy has a small number of staff members, and the folks that actually teach the core classes there are all officers that come from our departments. And obviously, Burlington provides a lot of support in that regard. So what I'm fearful of is a third class, because we offer 2 a year. That would really cut in to our available staff time. And a lot of our instructors also, they're paid overtime to go down there and teach, and they're willing to do so. But I think that is a camel's back that will break if we add too much to it. So we'll see what comes of that. I think there's probably some other ways that we could look at, maybe even the state college system and how we could leverage provisional certifications with scenario-based testing. I fear as though that if we go at this ourselves, that we'll do it wrong, and I'm hopeful that at some point we'll engage with academia and really learn what we have to do in order to educate adults to be police officers in an alternative fashion.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions? Hearing none. Thank you very much for your report, Chief. Moving on into the agenda, we have commendations, 15 minutes for that. We received no commendations this time around that I saw. If anyone can point out my mistake, then please do. Commissioner Cox?
I'm so sorry. I was going to write a commendation and I didn't get a chance to. But if I could just pass along to the chief that a couple of the police officers came to my home a couple of weeks ago and just helped with a developing situation. And one of them was Officer Moran, and the other one's name I just can't remember. But hopefully Officer Moran might be able to help identify the other person. But they were just so patient. They gave my family a good tip on how to handle this kind of a situation, and that worked perfectly. And it was that tip was also used by my family member the next night. So instead of having a repeat situation, it was handled much better. And they just were all around fabulous. And I love interacting with the police at times like that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Cox.
I appreciate that, Commissioner Cox. I'll identify the other officer and share your remarks with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, no other commendations to be had. The next meeting date will be August 19th, 2025, 6 p.m. And with that, I would move to adjourn the meeting. Do I hear a second? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you very much for your time.